Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome to the 9 p.m. English News Edition. Here are the headlines. Prime Minister closed the workshop of the monitoring of the governmental action. Celebration of the International Mandela Day. The reflection workshop on the monitoring of the government action continued with the exercise of votes of the government ministers to identify the key economic and social sector to prioritize tourism and energy, were retained at the end of the bailout. The Prime Minister closed session delivered a closing speech whose content will be transmitted later. In his closing address, the Prime Minister, Mr. Abdul Qadir Kamil Mohammed, thanked the members of the government, senior governments, officials and panelists in focus groups for their participation and contribution to this workshop, which will serve reference to our government action. Mr. Abdul Qadir Kamil Mohammed expressed the wish to see the results obtained thanks to the beautiful spirit of collegiality shared by all of us and to serve as catalyst in this process of transformation of our country. If in the vote two sectors to be prioritized have been chosen, namely energy and tourism, this choice does not minimize the importance of other sectors, said the Prime Minister, since they will be used during the first pilot phase of the program laboratory that will run from July 18 to September 18. At the end of this program, focused on improving the delivery of public services, all sectors will be subjected to this type of exercise, the pace of which will be the pivot around which government action will now involve. I urge the line ministers of the selected sectors to immediately identify within their respective department the resource persons who will be the focal point for the DU and Pemandu team, he said, and to conclude that the consensus reached today will be presented to the President of the Republic for approval. At the end of the workshop, the Prime Minister Abdul Qadir Kamil Mohammed has delivered a speech in front of the participants. He did not miss to thank the participants for their contribution to this high-level workshop, which will serve as a reference for the government action. Let's listen to the speech of the Prime Minister.
Thank you for your participation and your contribution to this high-level workshop that will serve as a reference for our government action. I hope that the result of this exemplary collegiality exercise will be shared by all of us and will serve as catalyst in this process of transformation of our country. While we have decided to choose only two sectors because of the means available, this does not mean that the other sectors will be set aside and that some departments are less important than my concerned department. These two sectors will be used for the first pilot phase of the laboratory, and henceforth government action will evolve in line with this type of exercise. Other sectors will follow to be submitted to the laboratory. I hope that all departments will provide their full support to the departments that are primarily responsible for the two areas selected today. The lab will be held July 18, 2019, exactly 8 weeks from today. I urge the ministries involved in the selected sectors to immediately identify resource persons within their respective department to serve as focal point with the DU and Pimandu team. The same is true for the other ministries, which should also collaborate fully on the success of this initiative when needed, both during laboratory preparation and during laboratories. I also urge you to release the appropriate lead for the duration of the lab work to get the most out of the lab workflow and get the best possible result for the country. Thank you so much for your participation in the exercise. The consensus here will be presented to the chair, to the head of a state. The consensus here will be presented to the head of a state for advice and approval, and I will advise you of this decision.
On the morning of Thursday, July 18, 2019, the conference room of the People Palace hosted a ceremony marking the end of the poetry competition and the awarding of prizes to the winner of this cultural competition. Ceremony under his high patronage, the Minister of Muslim Affairs, Culture and Waqf Goods, as well as other personalities, presented the various prizes to the three winners of the poetry contest. Many local people, including the Minister of Women and Family, Mrs. Mumina Ahmed Hassan, Director of Culture, Mr. Duali Hassan Ahmed, Director of the Office of Djibouti for Copyright, Mr. Omar Mohammed attended this event, and with the representative of BBC Somali as well as many artists and simple anonymous. After reading a verse from the Quran, the ceremony began. This competition put the girls in the race, prize giving of the poem context to the laureates. The first prize honors Khartoum Nasir Hussein region, Burao, Somaliland. Second prize, Palestine Khalif Yusuf from Mogadishu in Somalia. The third prize is for Roda Saleh Ise coming to Somaliland. Recall that this poetry competition was organized by the Minister of Muslim Affairs, Culture and Waqf Goods in collaboration with BBC Somali. The objective of this poem contest is to improve the new talent of young girls and thus ensure their emergence. This year, the Somali BBC 2019 service has chosen to reward the winners, Republic of Djibouti. Mrs. Mumina Ahmed Hassan, Minister Delegate, was pleased to participate in the ceremony marking the end of the poetry competition and the awards ceremony. Speaking at the ceremony, the Minister of Women's Affairs, Mrs. Mumina Ahmed Hassan, was delighted to participate in the ceremony marking the end of the poetry competition and the presentation of the awards. The Minister of Women and Family stressed that it is through the mother tongue that we maintain our national identity. She has particularly mentioned three major themes or entities necessary for the existence of a nation properly spoken, namely culture, religion, and mother tongue, without forgetting the recall the importance of the artist who convey through his creation, tradition, and culture. Speaking at the award ceremony, Minister Mumin Hassan Barre thanked the winners of this competition and invited the winners to improve their skills and develop their talents. He also congratulated the winners on the quality of their production and urged them to continue to improve. The Minister of Culture and Waqf Property stressed above all the factor priority given to the mother and through her to mother tongue. The minister also recalled the crucial role played by President Ismail Omar Guelleh, who he said is a pioneer in the promotion and enhancement of the culture and tradition at the national level. He is still the first sensitizer for the promotion and conservation of mother tongue, added the Minister of Culture. The Minister of Culture also referred to the existence of the Pen and Afar Pen Somali Institute as well as the effective creation of the Somali and Afar Long Academies. The Minister mentioned in particular the publication in Djibouti of a Somali language dictionary. The Afar language dictionary will soon be published, he said. The Minister of Culture did not fail to point out that there will soon be a national library covering in an area of 30,000 square meters, also in the process of being created, a national museum as well as a film training center which is already almost up and running. This morning at around 10 o'clock, the players and members of the technical staff of the Under-14 national team were entitled to all the honors through a ceremony organized at the CTN by the Federation and the SEGS. This spot of encouragement and congratulation was sponsored by the President of the Djiboutian Olympic Committee, Mrs. Aisha Ali Garad, the Secretary General of the Federation, Mr. Yusuf Ahmed, and the Director of Sports at the State Secretary for Youth and Sports, Mr. Abshir Ali, the Director of Sport Institutes, Mr. Saeed Ali Hussein, and MP Muhammad Ahmed Ainan. This ceremony, which saw the participation of the parents, was opened by the national anthem that was sung with passion and emotion by the 100 people present. Together they sang without wrong notes. During this moment, a moving atmosphere permeated the room. We could see on the faces of some players and parents tears of joy poured. The ball of the official speech was opened by the head coach, Mr. Mohamed Younis, who traced the course of the team during their participation in the 5th edition of the World Games of Paris. He highlighted the great performance of our team and invited the Federation and the SEHS to continue the football development program that the Federation has been running for 2 years. Subsequently, it was the turn of the chairman of the Commission of Technical Development, Mr. Mohammed Omar Ali. This great football expert recalled that the FDF, under the leadership of its President Suleiman Hassan Wabri, has implemented a medium and long-term strategy to develop the national football. He also stressed that the success of the under-14 national team in France is the fruit of the efforts of the federation. Mr. Mohamed Omar Ali also said a vast development program is currently being implemented by the FDF with the expertise and financial support of the FIFA. The support and involving of the politician is very useful for the development of the sport. And this framework, the Deputy Mohamed Ahmed Ainan, who is a former football player, has in short speech pronounced on this occasion, made it vibrant to the players and to the technician of the under-14 national team to have distinguished themselves in Paris. For her part, the president of the Djiboutian Olympic Committee, Mrs. Aisha Ali, who spoke during this spot, said that she contributed to the development of this team and that she is delighted with their success. During this ceremony, many personalities followed one another and the microphone, such as the sport director of SEGS, who said that the FDF and the SEGS has been working together for a long time. This excellent partnership has allowed the under-14 national team to develop their football skills and show their talent in Paris. For his part, the Secretary General of the Federation, Mr. Yusuf Ahmed, highlighted the various football development projects that the FDF has been carrying out on the ground in recent years. He took the opportunity to deplore the absence of Djibouti diplomats alongside the team during his stay in France. Certainly, the Djibouti embassy in France was informed 1 week in advance so that one or more diplomats could assist the Sharks during this competition. Privileged that the other teams present in Paris had because the representatives of their countries accompany and assist them. The Secretary General also said that the Senior A national team will soon travel to Ethiopia and invited diplomats stationed there to welcome and support senior Sharks. The ceremony was marked by the intervention of parents and players. Both spoke of the football and social successes observed since the creation of the under-14 national team. At the end, a pot of 1,001 candles and a variety of fruit juice were offered to players and parents. Secretary General of Health, Dr. Salah Bonoita Tourab, has received a large batch of materials offered by the Association Belgium Djibouti composed of dialysis mechanisms, wheelchairs, hospital beds, examination tables and other equipment to strengthen the hospital stay sitting at Peltier Hospital. The reception ceremony took place in the presence of the director of the General Hospital Peltier and the leaders of the ABED Association. Indeed, this donation of ABED will allow the improvement of the quality and the capacity of the hospitalization services in the main hospital structure of the country. The Secretary General of Health warmly thanked the leaders of the association based in Belgium for this tremendous drive of patriotism and beneficence. As part of the implementation of the government's health policy, the Ministry of Health makes outings in a mobile team to provide health care to the rural population throughout the country. Thus, the mobile team of the CMH Tajura, conducted by the medical chief officer of the region, Dr. Hassan Mohamed Hassan, made an exit in the locality of Agande, located about 120 kilometers from the chief town. Some 220 people were thus able to benefit from various cares. Indeed, the mobile team is a unit of care in its own right, consisting of a doctor, a midwife, a nurse, a nutritionist, and an agent of vaccination. At the same time, a distribution of impregnated mosquito nets was carried out. The local population is pleased with this policy and has not failed to thank the Minister of Health and the government. On July 18, 2019, Obox Development Association Coordination organized an official launch ceremony for the English courses in partnership with the Port of Djibouti. The ceremony took place at the Obok Community Development Center in the presence of the State Secretary for Youth and Sport, His Excellency Mr. Hassan Mohamed Kamil, the honorable members of the region, the leaders of civil society and the young beneficiaries of the project. The president of the Obok Development Association, Mr. Omar Hassan Hamid, explained in his speech that this training is part of the fight against unemployment and will allow beneficiaries to facilitate professional integration. More than 200 young people will benefit from this training. He did not fail to thank the Djibouti Port partner and its president, Abu Bakr Hadi, for his financial support for this project. He also thanked all those who participated directly or indirectly for this project to emerge, namely the honorable parliamentarian and the competent authorities of the region. Vigilance still in the fight against contraband project in the area of the units with a contraband cigarette seizure in the Bandora sector. As part of this fight against smuggling and illegal projects, a very large control operation was carried out in the Dikil region by the army of Dikil Riyadh. In particular, will jump in collaboration with the elements of the Customs Brigade of Dikil headed by Brigade Chief Musa Omar. For a week, the soldiers of the Riyadh under the command of Colonel of the Army Riyadh of Dikil, Mr. Idris Omar Alay, made night and day without stops and of control in the sector of Bandora, that the element of the army of Bandora and the heads of Dikil's customs brigade, Mr. Musa Omar Musa. These controls have captured a significant amount of contraband brand Benson cigarettes from Ethiopia through the locality of Bandora. Cigarettes were carried by racers who tried to smuggle cigarettes during the night, recalling that these operations were carried out under the authority of the head of Dikil Customs Brigade, Mr. Musa Omar Musa, in collaboration with the Army Colonel Riyadh the Dikil Prefect, Mr. Mohammed Sheikho, congratulated Dikil's military and custom officers for their vigilance in fighting smuggled goods that are detrimental to the regional and national economy. For his part, the Director General of Customs and Indirect Tax, Mr. Guled Ahmed, extended his warm congratulations to all the elements of the customs and military of Dikil for their collaboration to the success of this operation in the fight against smuggling, especially the Army Corps Chief Riyadh the Dikil. Wanted poster. A boy aged between 2 and 3 years old was found today at 5 p.m. in the afternoon by the police of Siesta Beach. He is dressed in a blue sleeveless shirt and shorts. Anyone who has recognized this little boy is kindly asked to contact the Central Police Station on 2135-2761 or 2135-1171. Moving on the international news. To mark this year's International Nelson Mandela Day, various South African companies have come together to pack food for poor communities in some parts of the country. International charity group Rise Against Hunger took part in the exercise, during which the company's employees prepared meals with rice and soy with different soups. In fact, it just brings joy. It feels good to do something good without accepting anything, so it feels good, said Naled Noksky, a volunteer. If you can look around, you will see that we are people from different countries, different ages, different businesses, and we all come together for the same purpose, to feed the nation, explained the volunteer Michelle Smith. The program is part of events around the world to celebrate the birthday of civil rights legend Nelson Mandela on July 18, where people are invited to devote at least 67 minutes of their time to acts of kindness in honor of the anti-apartheid icon. Millions of people have rallied activism. This year, Mandela marks the 101st anniversary of the winner of the Nobel Peace Prize, who died in 2013 at the age of 95. And that is all for this news. Thank you for watching us and have a wonderful night.